Welcome in to Coffee and Chel for Wednesday, December 3rd. We're almost into 2026. A lot to talk about on today's show. First of all, we're going to go through the new patch that just came out, as I got to play a bunch yesterday, my first few games of ranked, and I'll give my feedback on what I found and some things there. It was also kind of a mess all in all, but what else is new when it comes to a patch in game? We're going to go over some of the sets, game breakers as well. And the final piece of monetization in Hockey Ultimate Team, we're going to break that down as well. I do have to give you guys a bit of a life update. I talked about it a couple episodes ago, but just how I have gone through like the worst 3 week stretch that I've had just from coincidence and health and stuff like that. Obviously, not the worst. I'm still alive and well. My family's healthy, but just an absolute brutal stretch where I can't get any wins. And then we'll go through all of your questions and comments. A lot of good ones in yesterday's episode. Again, I want to thank everyone who watches these every day. These have become sort of the main driver on my channel. Not for growth, but just for watch time and engagement. And I've talked about this a lot, that as a creator, when you start trying new things, you've got to try a bunch of different stuff to try and remain relevant in this space, and you got to pay attention when something's starting to work. And after 4 years of doing Who Should You Choose, I kind of noticed that Coffee and Chel becoming like a Yap podcast type thing might be what you guys might enjoy the most in that iteration. So I'm super happy that it's worked out. And the hour-long episodes aren't going anywhere as long as I'm upright. Let's start first with the new patch yesterday. So, new patch comes out, and it's normal. Now, let's talk about the pros first. I don't want to over-exaggerate. I played 4 games. Fellas, poke checking might be back. I played a few games on stream, and it wasn't that every poke check was overpowered, where I was able to chase someone down from behind. I don't have inside body positioning, and I was able to knock the puck free. It was every single time that I expected to knock the puck free because I'm in good positioning. If you watch me play, again, I am not an elite player. I understand, and I am completely aware of my skill level in this game. I have a good understanding of it because I've played it for a decade, and I used to be quite good. I know when I'm in position and when I'm supposed to do things, and, I have an understanding of the game, essentially, right? And there's times where, this year specifically, I would be defending one-on-one facing the forward, and I would poke check while he is not protecting the puck while he's pushing it away, and it was like a force field over it, right? Every single game I played 4, it was like, wow. And it didn't just knock the puck free where he lost possession for a little bit. It was like into the boards. I was able to go get it. It felt really good. And that might be me just focusing on it. Maybe it's a little bit placebo because I know that they touched poke checking in the patch, and maybe I'm just now really in position and I have some confidence that it's working. So I don't know, but so far so good. And like I said, it wasn't that it felt overpowered. It legitimately felt like it was in a good spot. And that always scares me because as attributes go up and they mess around with other stuff, it ends up breaking. But right now, poke checking, offense, all of it feels like if stick lifts became a thing again, dare I say, we would have a really good game, or we'd have the best iteration of NHL 26, not the best NHL. Just if we could actually stick lift and be able to get the puck back first with inside body positioning, or even if you're on the outside and you stick lift at the correct time and then being able to steal the puck away, that would just, we would be in a really good spot. I also want to point this out. So there was a esports tournament going on for the Capitals. So for anyone that was that maybe watched that or maybe took part in it, there's about 200 players on it. It's for quite a bit of money, and it was using base cards in Hut. And there isn't a lot of top end tournaments anymore. There really isn't any. And the Capitals always put on good esports tournaments still with NHL, and they're doing with Hockey Ultimate Team on League Gaming. And the way they're doing it this year is with base cards. So they're running a Hut tournament, but everyone's got to use base cards. And everything is tracked. Hut, Tris, my man, over at LG. He's built a system where you basically search for games in Discord, you get matched up against someone else that's queuing, and then the API will actually track all the data. So you'll see how many block shots you have with the card, how many stick-ups, and it's a really, really good format. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here, my man Padre, I believe, was playing in it. Stu was playing in it, and if you watched the episode where we talked on Coffee and Chel a couple episodes ago, he's like a versus grinder again, which is like the OG. He's one of the OGs of competitive competitive NHL before Hockey Ultimate Team, and still one of the best players in the world. And he dominates versus, and he messaged me saying, I want to get the message correct because it brought up a good point about what happens in Hut. He says, he messaged me, dude, Hut with base cards is brutal. I thought it would play like Versus. So it's interesting because if you go from Versus to Hut, which is not very common anymore, it's a massive drop off. It's almost like going from 99 Hut, like we had with line combos with Landon DuPont and all of that, back to the season 2. It felt much slower, right? You don't notice progression of attributes until you do, and they drop it all the way back down. It's like launch of the game. You go from 99 Hut in September. Even with gameplay changes with a new video game, it doesn't really change. It's the attributes where everyone's like, wow, everything feels slow, right? That being said, versus ratings in Hut, how progression works, Hut starts out so much lower than Versus ratings. So if you were playing Versus, the way the game is intended to be played, we're almost entering that golden 6-week stretch of the game. And I talked about this for the last few years because I started noticing it when I was doing GWC, for the Gaming World Championship. It used to be around December, so I guess we'd be right in it now because we're a month ahead, but progression's even slower than it ever was, so it's probably going to be around January, maybe the end of December or beginning of January. If you go and look at the attributes of players on our Hut teams, right, the majority of them, we're entering into that where it's meeting the Versus ratings, right? Because after we get into February, March, and so on, it surpasses Versus ratings. And the game is designed to play in Versus, or like with those attributes, right? That's kind of how they design gameplay, and then everything works backwards from it. So we're entering into that golden stage. But if you were to go base cards right now, base cards are like 5 to 10 overall attribute points lower with far less abilities than in Versus, right? So I just wanted to point that out. If you are enjoying gameplay, it's probably because we're about to enter that like 6 to 2 month stretch where the game is designed, where Hut lives in how it's designed, and then it surpasses it, right? And before then, up until now, it's chasing getting up to it, right? So the attributes are too low. So it's always fun, and it's funny because that NHL is one of the only games that I've experienced or know in the industry where the player base actually meets or even sometimes exceeds launch of the video game. Like, I can't think of another game that does that on a yearly release, right? Because January comes around, we call it Christmas noobs. I don't know why or what it is about NHL. Maybe it's because it was a game that, like, hockey is the 4th most popular North American sport. Honestly, the 5th, because MLS is actually passing it in revenue, which is crazy to say. But nonetheless, it is small in comparison. And the sports games, that makes sense, right? It's a byproduct of the sport. So maybe it's always because people like the hockey video game because it's like a cool sport, but they're not really interested in it. But they get it for, like, you know, a discount at Christmas, right? And maybe that's why, because it's like a fun game to have, but you don't want to pay full price for it. I'm not talking about the hardcore players or the bitter guys. I'm talking about just the casual player that, like, you know, we'll get NHL, play Hut for like a couple weeks, maybe some franchise mode, and then they call it a day. Maybe they'll try out the new Be Pro. Happens around January, and the player base is at its highest. The gameplay is somewhat resembling what it was intended to be. And you've got Team of the Year. It's always like a really good time. So we're entering into that. And I wanted to bring up that message because I was thinking about it last night. And it's funny because if you were just playing Versus and you go back to base cards, it would feel very, very sluggish. So on to other things about the patch. They were trying to fix icon passing. The issue with icon passing this year was you hold down the right trigger. Okay, if you hold down the right trigger, you would pull up the icons above the players' heads. It's been in the game since NHL 23, I believe. And in this year's game, if you were to make a pass, like with X or whatever, it would automatically go to a player that was in its field of view. So if you were trying to do a backwards pass, or maybe there was 2 players, it would go to the one that was like in direct view. And icon, so it was very frustrating using icon passing. It would work, but there would be times where it wouldn't. It's very frustrating. They broke it. this is a classic case of what happens with this game every time they make adjustments. It is the plug one hole, two new holes open up like that, and it's so frustrating. And I don't think it's laziness. I honestly don't. This is one of those things where when I see stuff like this, from my experience in the background of talking to the developers over the last 8 years of being 8 years of being a game changer? No, it can't be that long. 7 years? Jesus, I've been doing this a long time. Talking with developers, I know that one of the most frustrating things they deal with is trying to deal with the old code and infrastructure of the game. It's a yearly based game. They don't have the backing to tear it down and build it up from the studs. And it is not an excuse. It is just what happens. And it's so frustrating when this happens as a consumer because and it's got to be insanely frustrating for a developer. I'm not talking about content developers. I'm talking about like the guys coding. I think Tyson's the main gameplay developer, and the stuff they do is a lot of work, man. Like I've gone to the offices, I've seen what it looks like when they're in their like dev builds and their dev kits. It is crazy stuff that I could never understand, and it's just infuriating when they try to fix something and it breaks. And not so much because that thing breaks, but it's like now they've got to go and try and fix that or revert it back, and they've wasted dev time not only on 26 but on 27. And it's like I wish EA's board of directors, okay, would just be like, this game needs a 2-year dev cycle. It so badly needs it one time. I'm not talking about going to it full time. And a perfect example of this, guys, would be NCAA. So NCAA, when they brought it back, they built that game from the ground up. And it's not that they made it exponentially better than Madden, anything like that. But all of the coding and things they want to change, it can be easily done. Whereas they're trying to fix things with code that is from NHL 16 when it came 15 when it came to PlayStation 4. Like it's a mess and it'll never be fixed until they go to that. Like I don't know how they would tear it down to the studs, wipe away all that code and put AI maybe? Like maybe that's the only way, because you would need manpower and EA does not provide enough manpower to EA NHL to handle that and then also make a new game that would sell. That's the key. They can make a new game, but if they don't have anything on they call it back of the box features, it ain't selling to the casual, Andy, right? It's not selling to no, Mike in Indiana is a good man. It's not selling to Ron in Washington, He barely plays the game. He gets it every couple of years. If they don't have a back of the box feature that really is like, oh, this is kind of interesting, those guys aren't selling. And the EA devs or the EA executives are going to be like, nope, we're not doing that. So just so frustrating because icon passing is cooked. You literally can't use it right now. If you use it, it's like it's on 3 miles an hour. You're just asking for a turnover or a breakaway against. It's frustrating. Now, a lot of you guys, I know there'll be people in there like icon passings for noobs or get good, use normal passing like a man. I use icon passing, but in certain situations, I talk about this a lot. There's things that icon passing does in certain situations that is far better than the manual, and then manual passing is far better in other instances than icon passing. So, regardless, it's a mechanic in the game. Regardless if you are someone that likes it or doesn't like it, it should work. Like that's it, right? So it's broken. That's it. Win streak rewards. So I played my first few games of ranked yesterday. I think I went 3-1, and didn't get anything. So it looked like when the patch went live, win streaks aren't there. However, now it does look like if you win 2 games, you'll get 2 squares, which is huge. Like that is because again, if you can win 2 games in a row, right? That's essentially three squares, right? If you then go and lose one, you're still up 2. Like that's a massive help for a lot of the player base to try and get unstuck from the silver, right? The silver problem. I did get, or it was confirmed in the Game Changer chat. Someone had asked. I think it was Henrique. I want to make sure. Yeah, was it Henrique? I always like giving props to the Game Changers that are doing their due diligence. Yeah, he said, do win streaks go to Diamond? And the devs replied with yes, it only goes to Diamond. And I think some players in Diamond and above are going to be frustrated with that. I want to point out something that a commenter left on yesterday's video, that there was only 300 players in Diamond and above last season, and that's almost the exact same amount that got to Division 1 in NHL 25. So if Diamond is Division 1, you're now getting more rewarded because you can keep going to Elite and then Ultimate, right? So while the rewards are not great, and the hardcore players, again, they never seem to get, any of the love, like from a lot. It's a very small section of the player base. I do feel bad for the players that are elite at this game because they get the least rewarded for being an elite player compared to other games, right? So, and again, whatever, they have to cheese the game and they play like, assholes, and it's loser behavior. A lot of us feel like, because they don't play like real hockey or whatever, but they are still unbelievable at the game and masters of their craft, and they don't ever get rewarded for it, which it's just it makes me laugh because it's you would think the better you are at something, the more rewards you would get, and you just really don't. So the win streaks go to Diamond. So if you've been waiting to play ranked, give it a shot now. You should be able to fly up a little bit more than what you were at. And that's going to be big. I want to touch on the game breaker sets. We're going to take a little field trip into NHL. So for anyone that's listening, I'm just pulling up. I'll try to describe it. So yesterday they came out with the game breaker release again, and with the 89 Sebastian Aho. But more importantly, someone in my chat brought this up, and that is the game breaker sets in NHL 26 with the line combos. Last year in 25, B&D cards were the worst thing to make. Like, unless you were looking for one specific card and it was the only way to get it and you want to shoot your shot on it, okay. But they were awful because once they were off your team, they had no value to you. NHL 26, everything changes because a second a line combo comes out, that B&D card has hope. Like, it might not be on your team ever, right? But it might have hope at some point. So the B&D sets for events and game breakers and all that stuff now have value. It's usually not the right way to go, but I want to point out the 87 overall game breaker players that are account bound. So again, you earn the collectibles by doing your chores. You'll get 6 like you always do. You'll get a shot at a tradable 83 and above, a untradeable 85, and then an 87 overall account bound. The reason why I wanted to point out the account bound specifically for this is because there's only 5 game breaker cards currently that are 87 overall. And the reason why that's important is because there's only 2 that are bad, meaning you've got a 3 out of 5 chance you're going to pull something really good. So you have a shot at getting this 87 overall Logan Cooley with All-Star Quick Release, 90 Skating, 93 Excel, fits some line combos, really good card. And again, the reason why I think this might be the play is because A, fits line combos and all of that, and he's a good card. But you're probably, if you do the tradable set, you're probably just going to pull something that is 83 overall, and you're not going to make any money. The only other argument I would have for the other set would be 85 untradeable if you're trying to make a master set player item and you need another 85 overall. Matthias Ekholm, again, not very good right now. 85 speed and excel is pretty rough. However, he's 6'5", and he has stick 'em up, so it's usable because he's got good defensive awareness. Mason Marchment would be the only one that's brutal. So if you got Mason Marchment, that would be a pretty big L, but at least you took a shot. And who knows, with line combos, maybe something will come up, make him useful. He's gigantic, so if he ever got a big boost to skating or something, he's one of the better cards. And then you've got Marty Necas from way back early on in the game, who's phenomenal, 92 speed and excel with All-Star Quick Release. And then Nick Suzuki's got 92 face-offs, 90 speed, 92 excel, 92 agility. So I wanted to bring that up. If you are going to do the game breaker sets, which I would recommend, it doesn't take very long, I would probably go with the B&D one right now. Unless you are trying to make a master set player and you desperately need 85s, then maybe go the 85 untradeable route to just give yourself some help there, which I might actually have to end up doing because I'm trying to make Eklund. And I missed out on a free of the objective one last week because I was so sick I couldn't play. So I'm having a hard time getting that second free MSP, and I don't want to spend any coins. So I do want to point that up. Next, I want to bring this up because it's starting to get acknowledged. Now we're going back to NHL. We're going back on a field trip. I talked a lot recently about how we're entering the era where game companies are just squeezing the consumer, the hardcore consumer, for as much money as possible, as opposed to innovation, because players, the players are just not coming into the game. You're not getting a lot of new players, and they're desperate to try and keep their revenue what it was before, right? Because that's what happens with a publicly traded company. However, it is now a private company, which is interesting. So that, that hasn't really taken into effect, but it is interesting. So they're all game companies are trying to make as much money as possible now, and they're not doing it with innovation and trying to get new players in. They're trying to milk the hardcore players for as much money as they're willing to give, and then you'll hit a breaking point, and you'll start to see them not spend money, and that's when we're going to go through a big shift in all of gaming. I'm not just talking about NHL again. It's something I talk about quite a bit because it's so interesting and fascinating to me as someone who has played through the golden era of video games from 2000 to 2015. That's, in my opinion, I don't think there'll ever be a better era for it, because we got fully fleshed out games, and they innovated because there was no microtransactions. It was just about innovation designed to get us to buy the actual game, right? I want to point this out. The final piece has, now this is hut content. Oh my God, this content update thing. The final piece of monetization in Hockey Ultimate Team, and again, this is every Ultimate Team game, has now taken place. Okay. In years past, we would pay for packs or players, right? Who remembers the $100 hut pack in NHL 19 where you got a guaranteed icon? That was really good. Who remembers chasing Solani's icon card? I think it was NHL 19, right? And then it went to the, you buy packs, you get a ton of cards, you use it, you can, even if you don't pull anything, you've got enough fodder to use to make whatever card you want. And now we're at the point now where there's 50 packs in the store. There's actually 43 packs. 43 packs in the store, and we get less from our packs, and they are more expensive. This is a trend that is going to continue. No amount of complaining, no amount of making a stink about it is going to change anything. This is not an EA NHL problem. This is a video game industry problem. It does not make EA okay. This is not okay. I just want to point this out to players, especially older players, that they maybe aren't aware. So if you head on over yesterday during the patch release, one of the things that came out was jerseys, and it was kind of a slow, when they released jerseys, it's kind of a slow drip. But because of this big patch, they added in a lot. We got the new Chicago Blackhawks third, the Avalanche Nordique jerseys, the new Dallas Stars unis, which are almost perfect. I think they just need a little copper in there, but they're almost perfect. We've got the new Los Angeles Kings jerseys, Minnesota Wild, Pittsburgh Penguins full yellows, and then they threw all of these like AHL, OHL, and European jerseys in the game, or into this one pack, the rest of it. The reason why I wanted to bring this up, we never had to pay for cosmetics. That was one thing in Ultimate Team and NHL specifically we never had to do. In fact, they would almost always give us a pack in the store that was just a free pack, and we got the new jerseys because they wanted to utilize the jersey. And what's so funny to me is that if you wanted to get the new Chicago Blackhawks jersey, 187,000 coins. Now, you also get 380 and above overall Chicago Blackhawk player items that are untradeable, of course. So, you might pull something of use. You're more than likely going to pull 380 overall Chicago Blackhawks, but you're going to get that jersey. Here is what's brutal. 187,000 coins, you want that jersey, or $25. It's hilarious to me, because watching the monetization of microtransactions in video games and gotcha games in general, if you go back, the peak one, Fortnite, let's say Fortnite and Call of Duty season passes, and why that was the model was because they didn't implement anything in game that impacted your gaming experience. So they made it where, okay, everyone's on the same playing field for the most part, but if you want to look a certain way, a cool way, then you can buy these skins, right? And what's so funny is in Ultimate Team, it didn't really happen. It was in the reverse. You can buy all of the things that impact gameplay, but we'll give you the things to look cool or look the way you want. Now we have to pay for everything. I want to make this clear, guys. It will never get better. This is the NHL 26 is the game in which it caught up to the rest of the Ultimate Team game modes out there in terms of milking you for every dollar they can, or every coin, or every resource in the game. And again, I blame NHL because I'm a consumer and I understand, but I also understand from a business aspect. Like, I understand why it's happening. I don't think this is the EA devs making this as a general thing. I think this is a mandate from way up, from way up. When your company loses $1 billion in a quarter, like EA did, this is what ends up happening. And I just want it's unfortunate. And like I said, I think that there was a comment yesterday in my Coffee and Chel episode where it was like, it's sad that are the worst they've ever, or rewards are the worst they've ever been and the best they'll ever be. Let me say that again. The rewards and stuff that you can get in game via money and everything like that, rewards that you can earn are the worst they've ever been and the best they'll ever be. Meaning that it's not going to get better. It'll only be worse. And it's a new era of it. And I understand it. Again, these companies have to find a way to increase profits from a business standpoint, and the consumer is now at a point where we are just getting blasted from every angle. And it sucks, man. Because it's funny because people are like, who's going to buy these packs? Maybe 10 people buy the Dallas Stars jersey bundle. That's 10 more people that have spent $25. That's how crazy it's getting. And it'll only get worse. And the only way to see any change in it is lack of engagement, man. I've said this a million times. It's people are going to, like, if I was a Dallas Star fan and this is the only game I play, I talk about Pokemon TCG Pocket all the time because it is my comfy game. So I don't play it for revenue. I don't play it for a job or anything like that. It's the game I play. And there's times where I'll spend money in that game, not really on packs, but like on player cards and mats and stuff like that. Like where like I'm playing against someone, there'll be a cool one where it's like Blastoise or something. I'll pay money for that because I actually want that skin or that, you know what I mean? There's people out there that are Dallas Stars fans that are 100% going to spend $25 on this. And I guess technically it allows them to get it, but it's so frustrating because it's funny. If this actually makes sense in comparison to all other microtransactions in every other video game, the cosmetic thing makes sense to charge money for. But in Ultimate Team, we're paying for everything. And that is why I have no money spent. It's why I put a focus on trying to teach you guys how to get as much stuff as you can for free by just playing the game and wiping out the aspect of it. And it's also, but I want to make it clear, I'm not critical of EA in the sense that they're doing this. It sucks. It is not good. I do not applaud EA. I just understand. And it's, frustrating as a Sharks fan who wants to use again, I talked about this, the anniversary jersey that I got from the San Jose Sharks. I would love to use this in game. There hasn't been the ability to buy it, I don't believe. And it's never in the auction house because no one has it. And like in years past, it's such a psychotic thing because we've never had that issue. We've always just been given the jerseys. And that is the last piece of monetization they have. Like, I can't wait until they make us pay for, goalie helmets. Where I expect things to go, guys, is every piece of cosmetic item. When they redo menus, okay, when they redo menus at some point, and everything gets in 3 years, you're gonna go look at every helmet available. Okay, every helmet available in Hockey Ultimate Team, $3, and you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna be able to buy it. And it'll probably happen with cards too, where it's like a vending machine. That's what I expect it to go. It's only gonna get worse. And when I saw that the jersey release, I hadn't been paying attention to it because it's been so few of them. But I saw it on Don't Be Saw It on Twitter and whatnot, known Blackhawks lover. And he was just like, he is one of the OGs. He is one of the OGs in Hockey Ultimate. He's been around way longer than me. And he has seen every era of Hockey Ultimate Team. And again, maybe because I'm like in it daily now, and I've been looking at stuff outside in the gaming industry. I'm just like at peace with it because I just know what's coming or what, like, this is nothing. This does not surprise me at all. And he was just like, how is this $25 if I want the Blackhawks jersey? It's just, and I just was like, I'll tell you why. Like it's the last piece of trying to milk money. And it's sad for gamers, man. That's what it is. It's just sad for gamers. So I want to point that out. Life update. All right. I said 2 episodes ago I would talk about my life and what's going on. And I wanted to do the hut one because I know a lot of people don't enjoy all this stuff. But for all my 30-year-old dads out there that want to, hear another 30-year-old dad just complain about his life, the last 3 weeks have been awful. And not like in a something traumatic, anything like that. Everyone's healthy, and I would give up everything for my family to be healthy and all of that. So I really can't complain that much. But God, when you go through have you guys ever had like a week or even a day where everything fights you? Like I've said this before, you set an alarm for 6:30. And it doesn't go off. You wake up at 7:15, just your natural alarm, and now you've got 45 minutes to get to work or 30 minutes to get to work if you're a responsible adult. If you're 20, you're late. I, too, remember being 21 years old and waking up 20 minutes before my shift and just having enough effort in me to brush my teeth and drive and get there as the timer hit like 8 a.m. So I'm with you. But as you get older, you manage time a little bit better. So your alarm goes off and you wake up, you miss it, and now you're a little bit late. Now you're behind the 8 ball, okay? You go to brush your teeth, you're out of toothpaste. You go to make your coffee, you don't have any coffee beans. You're like, okay, I'm out. I'm going to go to Tim Hortons on the way to work. You go there, insane line. It's just like everything in the day is so difficult. It's not like it's one thing. It's just an accumulation where everything is annoying. So I got sick 3 weeks ago. Went to the hospital, couldn't breathe, all of that stuff. And I've talked about that a lot. I ended up getting so sick, they said, hey, it looks like just a flu, go home. I went home 2 days later, it got even worse, went to my family doctor. They gave me multiple puffers and a prescription to help out. Got a little bit better. The following Monday, so a week later, back in the hospital because it was way worse. Ended up getting the start of pneumonia. I was developing pneumonia. But caught it early enough because I decided to spend 18 hours in a 2-week stretch in the hospital. In the waiting room, in the emergency. Anyways, so I get that addressed, right? So that week or two was just awful from a health standpoint. So we're most sick I've been, God, maybe ever from like just being like sick, like the flu, right? I think it might have been. Anyways, I start to get a little bit better. And right now I want to say I'm fine. Like my prescription's working. I can breathe walking up the stairs now. I don't have a cough. It's good. So I get a little bit better. My son gets sick, and the stress that when your son gets sick or your daughter gets sick, it's just like, again, I can't speak to moms out there, but I'm assuming it's the same. But for dads, man, I heard this quote from this parenting like guru that I follow on YouTube, and it was an older guy, and he was like, for men that have sons, it's like watching your heart run around outside your body. And I don't mean to get too deep, but if you sit and think about any of the dads out there, if you think about that, I can't think of a better way to describe it. Because the fear that you have of just the world against your little boy, and I'm sure it's the same for girls, but again, I can only explain what I feel. So he gets sick, and I feel, first of all, personally responsible. I tried to like quarantine myself in my room. There was a 3-day stretch where I literally did not leave my bedroom because I did not want to get my wife or my kiddo sick. Anyways, he gets sick. We take him to the doctors. He's okay. He gets better. We give him some medicine. He gets a puffer. Everything's okay. My wife somehow does not get sick. While this is all happening, I've been trying to build my sanctuary. I'm not calling it a man cave. It's a sanctuary. Okay? I find this unbelievable couch I showed you guys. It was perfect. It was like this thing that I can lay on, but I can also sit on. It was so comfy. It had cup holders and chargers, and this is perfect. I asked the guy when I'm there, I try out every couch. I'm like, man, this is in 2 pieces, right? It will not fit in my basement if it is one. It's gigantic. I think it's 60 inches across, and then I think 80 the other way. It's like a bed, okay? He's like, yeah, 2 pieces. I go and pick this thing up, the biggest box you've ever seen. I lug it back to my house. I can barely breathe. I get it into my upstairs so I can take it out of the box, 1 piece. Like, that night was a low point because I was so sick and I was just like, I need a W. I lugged this thing back that same night. I ended up getting a recliner, and I love my recliner. I think maybe it worked out for the better, but I love this thing. It is the comfiest chair I've ever been in, and the last few nights have been chef's kiss. So, anyways, this weekend, treadmill. My treadmill is coming. Again, I'm so sick of I walk 8 kilometers a day. I am not doing it in the Canadian winter anymore. I did it for the last 4 years. I have had enough. I'm not doing it outside. This is one of the things I hate about Canada. Yes, I like going outside, but it's 6 in the morning when I've got to get exercise in to just remain a healthy human being. I'm not doing it in negative 15. That's obnoxious. It's ridiculous. Like, it's so annoying. So I bought a treadmill. I waited for this specific one. Got a great deal on it. It's a brand new one, just out of the box. I get my buddy to come and help me move it in. Doesn't turn on. Like, I can't. When that happened, I wasn't even like sad or anything, but I just knew it would happen. I'm like, yeah. Call the place. They're like, we're gonna order a part. We'll get back to you. No ETA. Like, just we'll get back to you. And I'm not gonna annoy these people, but I'm like, this was on Monday. I called. If I don't hear from them today, regardless, I spent like, I think the thing was like $1,000. It's a legit treadmill. Okay, I'm very happy with it. It just I need to turn on. So on top of that, man, like, there's been times where my wife always picks up my son from daycare, and on Monday I had to because she had a dinner to go to at work, which no problem with that. So I go and get my son from daycare. I'm watching him, and Mondays there's nothing going on. I'm watching my son having a blast. EA releases that holiday thing, and again, that's not a big deal. But as like someone who's if I was on at 5 p.m. like I normally would have been, those small little inconveniences or randomness that happen. It was just like everything was stacking up. And it's just been like that for like the last 3 weeks. I have a vacation coming up. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting the flu. I'm going to break my leg. Something is going to happen because God forbid I get a week where I just get to enjoy myself, But, who knows? Maybe all of this was like pre-crap leading up to my vacation, and my vacation is going to be a blast. That's my hope. I know for a fact, for anyone that plays Hut, I'll bring this back to Hut. If you're a Hut player, historically, the greatest content releases of the year happen when I randomly go away. It doesn't happen very often, but almost every time. So, I expect some sort of like Team of the Year super duper fantasy event on December 13th to the 20th. Okay. So expect the craziest event release while I'm gone. Also, I want to mention that I'll pre-record some Coffee and Chel videos, and I'll have some other like videos that go over like the best line combos and stuff like that. Like I'll have videos for you guys on my YouTube channel, but I won't be streaming. I will be feet up on a beach somewhere. So anyways, yeah, it's just, but I want to bring this back to, I built this like downstairs like sanctuary for myself. And I think the only reason a lot of people have a basement downstairs or somewhere that they can go and hide, even just your normal living room. And I think what my issue was that I have an unbelievable setup. Like if you were a gamer, paradise here. Okay. The problem is that it's work, and take away what I do for a living or what anyone does for a living. No matter what, eventually you will have the work feeling tied to wherever you are. Okay. And that's what's happened over like 6 years. So I didn't really have anywhere to sit or hang out by myself, when at the end of the night, when everyone's asleep, or maybe my wife has a few people upstairs. I literally had nowhere to go. Right. So I built this place downstairs in my living room and made it just for me. And the last few nights, I put my son to bed. I hang out and talk to my wife for half an hour. And then for just 2 to 3 hours, I just sat there. I watched the Sharks game in full the other night. I've been grinding Pokemon Let's Go, trying to complete my living decks by getting every single Pokemon for every game. I want to get that completed for my son by the time he's 7. And I'm just having a blast. And, that's been really good. And I'm excited because once my life, clicks back into some sort of normalcy, I think I figured it out. So for anyone out there that works from home, oh man, try and build yourself it doesn't need to be extravagant. My treadmill thing I guess was expensive, $1,000. I bought my chair, my recliner was an out of the box like store model Like I did not. I'm not someone that likes being extravagant, spending a lot of money. I do not. It takes a lot of convincing for me to spend money. So it doesn't have to be any sort of extravagant. I went to IKEA, got some pretty cheap like IKEA furniture to make the room look kind of like nice, like myself. Got some new lights, and just try that. Get a space where you can just be away, you know. And I think that's I think it's important. I think it's important if you can, obviously. So, anyways, I wanted to touch on one other thing, dude. What kills me sometimes, people. It's I'll look up my name on Reddit sometimes, just to see what people are saying. Like, so if people are like, Sleeves has a video on whatever, I'll go and reply to Reddit threads and things like that. Try to remain active in the community. I can't do it every day. I'm not just searching Reddit all the time, but I search my name every once in a while and see if there's anything that I can help out with. And every once in a while, there's some banger comments. Okay, just banger comments. Here's one. Okay, so this guy makes a joke. He said, just got out of a coma. Hey, guys, just woke up after a 2-year coma. My parents got divorced and moved to San Jose and Montreal. My best friend is out in Detroit. Basically, I'm praying this new NHL game has some Sharks, Habs, and maybe Red Wings if I'm lucky. Downloading now, so fingers crossed. Obviously joking at the fact that that's all of the players that we've gotten, which I actually found hilarious. Okay. But here's lopsided natural. Okay. He goes, I wouldn't have a beer with either. He's talking about me and Thrash, right? With either. They're grown men playing a hockey game on a console for a living. No 401k, no retirement plan, insurance, etc. Can't do it forever. Plus, I see divorced in the future. My brother, this is the most piss poor negative. Like, you say you don't want to have a beer with me, dude. You're the most like just negative. You've never met me. You've never hung out with me. Like, it's just a crazy take. And then on top of this, the reason why I want to bring it up is because a lot of people actually ask this in like out of like general curiosity. Because as a content creator, yeah, it's not a traditional real job. From like people have a hard time understanding it, and I like kind of like breaking down the wall a bit, just because I always found it interesting, like how people are able to do it. Yeah, I have an investment plan. Like when I pay my taxes in Canada specifically, a major part of it when you're self-employed is paying into CPP, which is the Canadian Pension Plan. You have to pay into that. So no matter what, it's not a lot of money in what you'll get when you're 65. But I also pay and I also invest pretty heavily because, yeah, you don't get a retirement like you would from a normal job. But you literally just described everyone that's self-employed. That's what kills me is that people talk about like content creators, and yeah, a lot of 20-year-olds or a lot of people that are maybe like that are kids that never had a real job, they never had to actually financially. I'm not talking about the guys that make millions. I'm talking about like the average guys like me that make like an okay living by doing it. They don't plan for it. They get the check and they're like, ugh, taxes? What's that? Or you know what I mean? Retirement? No, that's in 40 years. I'm not doing that. No, yeah, guys. Like I put away for my taxes, my insurance plan. I pay for my wife to have like the full one, so she gets a really good one from her job, and then I pay the remaining amount monthly to get like me, myself, and my wife completely covered, like for everything. We have a great insurance plan, but yeah, like you have to. It's no different than everyone that is self-employed. That always makes me laugh. And then plus you see divorce in the future. Dude, you are the least fun person at any party. Like, just an absolute bitter human being. I wish you nothing but the best. But anyways, I always thought that was funny, man. I always like seeing some trolls. I love interacting. I'm always down. You want to come in my stream? You don't like me? Come do it in my stream, man. It is my favorite thing. So, anyways, I thought that was kind of funny. All right. Last thing. Actually, no. Let's get into some of the questions from the. The last video. So Coopab says, I just sort by the most liked guys. Coopab says, I watch every episode in your streams, and you're the most laid back guy. Apparently not, according to Reddit. I love watching you and hearing your feedback about life in this game in general. Keep up the awesome work. Can't wait for more. One of my favorite things, especially on Twitch, I don't see as much on YouTube just because Twitch is more like immediate reaction. And like yesterday's morning stream, we just talked about life and stuff. I love doing that. Again, because I find that you guys are just like, when it comes to like community and like my viewers and stuff like that, I treat you guys as like homies. Like, and I hope that comes off, like, because it is just like-minded people. But the one thing I love is I'll get younger people. Almost 80% of my audience is above 25 years old, which is crazy when you think about it. But we'll get like 21-year-olds or even teenagers, and they'll come in and they'll ask questions about like life. whether it's like a breakup or, a job interview. And we'll joke around or whatever, but the feedback we'll give is just great. You can learn a lot. So for anyone out there that's got some good life advice, I love talking about that stuff. So I'm glad that you like it, Coops. I appreciate you hanging out. Hockey says, dude, moving all my players to the strong side has helped me tremendously. Oh, this is what I'm scared of. I was scared of telling. Okay. Has helped me tremendously. I'm totally one of those players you describe as always rushing with the puck. And also, I would always try the one time on the rush goals. This new setup allows me to think before making the move and also provides so much more room. Also, D-men on their strong side have less pucks tipped away for breakaways. Very true about that. Yes. So when you have opposite-handed defensemen, so you've got righties on the left. If you ever get open, like you open up your body and the puck is away from you and they poke check you, and now poke checks appear to be okay, it's a breakaway against. Whereas if you're up against the board on your strong side, you have a chance to get back, like they have to go further. So you can get back, right? But I agree with that. Again, I want to make this very clear, guys. Every year I go through this thing where I get bored and then I try my wingers and whatnot on their strong side. It is not going to give you more wins. It is going to make you play differently. And maybe for a while, because of skill-based matchmaking, different will just feel better because it's not you just doing the exact same thing. I think that it offers some help, but it 100% limits you at the high end. Like, someone mentioned about, so I got to Platinum 2, I think, last season. Then I just stopped playing. I didn't even try going any further just because I didn't want to waste my time. Even if I could go any higher, I really didn't feel like it. I'd be very curious if I can get there again. I haven't experienced in Hut Champs any difference. I end up with the same record, but ranked is way harder than Champs. So I'll be curious. I'm glad that this helps out a lot of people. And I think it will teach you things that when you want to get competitive and you switch back to opposite-handed players, you will be a better player. That I 100% agree with. Because you have to, like he's talking about, when you have your wingers on their correct hand or correct side, it forces you to look for plays. And I think that will help players when they flip everyone back. When you talked about having more patience gets you better in the game, I had an idea. What will get you better? Change your tactics in game. I won a couple games when I changed in my game my defense tactics from collapse to blue line when my opponent tried only to do the one-timers. The other thing, what Eki talks about in his finish video, is keeping your plays simple. You don't have to do deke salt and all the other stuff to be good in this game. Sorry for the long and bad English comment, but keep it going. These Coffee and Chill episodes are really awesome. I appreciate that, man. So, this is something I talk about in my settings and strategies video. When you go on a tilt, you shouldn't change your strategies every game. There's a few, but you should, for the most part, keep things the same because familiarity will help you master what you're using. But there are times where if you were on a tilt, like you're losing a ton, or you just can't get anything going against an opponent, 100% the first thing you should do is change a few of your strategies. So the one that I would probably change the most is your forecheck and neutral zone. So if you're set up in the 1-2 passive and 1-4, right, and it's just not working and the guy's able to blow by you, go to 1-2 red and full out forecheck. Because regardless of what happens, nothing's working, and your team will operate differently. And your opponent will be like, oh, what's this? Because you get used to how your opponent plays by the third period. There's certain, you know what I mean? So I 100% recommend that. I talk about this every year in my strategies video. The other thing is, after you've lost a few games, change your strategies before you even go in if you want. If that does not work, wrong order. If you go on a few tilts for a little while, change your view. Change your from overhead to classic to zone. Just change your view. After that, change your strategies. If that doesn't work, change your lineup. Sometimes you just have to flip a player just to give yourself, and then because of skill-based matchmaking, you'll get back there. But yeah, 100% changing your tactics for sure. Hey, I pointed out in your last video about the 88 Vladar. However, for everyone else that can't make that MSP Heronic or Hughes, Vladar is good size, speed, and aggression. However, he is also Czech, which means he can pair with Season 1 Demko for that huge salary bonus. So, the Advent Calendar event thing, or whatever they're calling it, the Holiday HUD event, If you get 10 gold tickets, and we can't earn any additional tickets, by the way, just in the store, you can get the free pack. That's it. And you can buy them, or they're in packs, because of course they are. Don't buy them, by the way. Just wait. We'll get objectives and moments and stuff like that. And in that pack, you can get an 88 overall Volodar. A goaltender is almost always the worst option. However, what he's talking about is there is a very good salary combo that almost everyone should try and take advantage of. And it's a Czech and a Vancouver Canuck. And you could go that route. But, dude, the days of me recommending a goaltender are long gone. R.I.P. the Pecorine. I would absolutely hate if all luck was taken out of the game. But I agree that sticks shouldn't break in competitive online matches. This is the delicate balance. I've talked about this for years now, that in the NHL video game, because the sport we watch and love and play is random. There is more luck in hockey than any other sport. In a video game, trying to emulate that, it is so difficult and obviously so frustrating for the player base, because in a video game, we expect when I do something, I get X result. So having luck just coded in is infuriating for a lot. Now, obviously, the immersion isn't always there. But I think in online play, man, if you're playing online against someone, yes, it should be hockey. But the immersion in real life, like, for the most part, I would get rid of as much luck as you could. The broken glass, the injuries, the stick breaking. Like, I might be the minority there, but this is why I say you'll never get a video game of NHL where gameplay is universally loved, because of this comment right here. Last episode I talked about the subscription model, and that Microsoft is about to stop making Xbox consoles in the next few years and go to a full-on subscription format where they just offer all of their games and you can play them on anything. Subscription models work for a few reasons. You way overestimate the amount of people that even remember to cancel something they aren't using, combined with the discount for signing up for 12 months, which a lot of people will do. And lastly, a lot of people who wouldn't drop $100 in the game would try it for a month. That's all extra revenue. Chris, this might be something you want to Google, but so what he is arguing is that I explained why sports games, EA Sports, MLB, all of those games don't go to 2-year dev cycles, and they don't just go to a subscription format where you pay $20 a month and you can play their game, right? Or however much it is. The reason why that will not work is because you are underestimating how much money they get from game sales. Again, sports games are not games that have a massive longevity. A sport game is not a yearly game. It is a 6-month game. This goes for Madden, MLB, NCAA, and 2K, all of them. It is not a year-long game. It is a yearly release with a 6-month player cycle. Okay, after the season, if you go and look, you could. Oh man, there was an article on it that I saw months ago. Maybe I'll try and find it for the next episode. It showed the drop off when the regular season of that sport ended, and online player base numbers for that video game, and it drops almost 70%. So that is the effective end. The players that play all year round, those are hardcores. They're not going anywhere. So let's pretend someone plays 6 months of the game, which in terms of the overall people that buy the game in general, that make it 6 months, a fraction, man. A fraction. Yes, it would be more convenient for the consumer. A subscription model for the sports video games would be unreal for the consumer. Unbelievable. It would be the best. It would be the best. Because if we don't feel like playing, we don't pay, right? And we know we're not going to play all year long, right? Like buying the game, having NHL 18 back there, I'm never going to go pick it up. I paid full price for that game. I'm never going to go pick it up. It's not like you're going to go back and play those games, right? A sports game operates so far different than what you're explaining here, man. Yes, you would get some people that would try out the game for $20, but imagine you get that same person who has a little bit of an interest in it, and they pay $100. And yes, a lot of people won't, but if they're willing to pay $20 because they really want to try out the game, they're more than likely going to pay $100. And once they get you that $100, they don't care about the rest, right? In sports games, you're way off. And again, I can go, maybe over the next couple episodes, I'll try and pull up the data on it. It's an unbelievable amount. This is why they'll never go to subscription format, or at least in the current landscape. They would have to develop a subscription format that would be pretty crazy. How I think EA would do it is it's not every game is $20 a month or $10 a month or $5 a month to play that specific game. What I bet would happen is EA goes, okay, $50 a month, you get access to every single EA Sports title in that year. And when they do that, everyone that plays FIFA, right, you're going to pay more than you would for that one game, but you have to do it, and you get access to all the other games, even though you're not going to play them. That's what I bet would happen. Maybe it's not $50, maybe it's $30. But $30 times 12 months out of the year, right? That's $360, right? If you just played FIFA, then you've just 300x your profit margins. That's where I think it will go. But what you're saying, there's no way. The revenue that they get over the people that play the game for a month and getting $100 far outweighs the people that would try and sign up for $20 and play it. Far outweighs it, man. It's not even close. I feel like if EA took a year off from NHL and started from the ground up, this would have been the perfect year to do so. Having NHL 26 be a 2-year game, with this being year 1, the reason I think this timeline would work is because year 2 would be during the supposed release of GTA 6. I know as soon as the game is released, I won't be playing NHL game for a long time, and I wouldn't be surprised if lots of people do the same. I've talked about this a ton. Grand Theft Auto will be from someone that's been in the gaming industry, and not just the gaming industry, but the content creation for video game industry, when games like this come out, the whole industry of gaming stops. Like, it stops, right? And Grand Theft Auto has been so desired that there will never be, until GTA 7 in 2040, there probably won't ever be a game. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, if Nintendo ever made a legit licensed Pokemon MMO, I know there is a legal Pokemon MMO that's really good. If Nintendo ever released a Pokemon MMO, that might be the only game that would come close in terms of like the world like shutting down for a game. But for GTA 6, man, like you're seeing, I can guarantee you that a lot of NHL moving to September, an early September release in 26 and losing a month of dev time for 26, a big reason was because they get 3 months before GTA 6 comes out. It might not have been the entire reason because obviously they wanted the game to come out before the NHL season, but a lot of it is because Grand Theft Auto is coming out then, right? So they get your $100 in September and then they're good. They know. I would expect that every game company expects to lose a lot of money in 28. So in 2027. Expects to lose a lot because Grand Theft Auto just takes over the world. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe it passes. And there's a lot of people. I haven't played Grand Theft Auto in years, and I never played online, right? But I have played every Grand Theft Auto for thousands of hours. Like, probably like 2,000 hours total from Grand Theft Auto 1 on PlayStation with a top-down menu. Yeah, I'm that old. I remember those games. I love playing them. My buddy convinced his parents to buy them when we were 10 years old, and we were playing Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 when we should not have been. Same thing with Grand Theft Auto 3. Our parents had no idea. And San Andreas and I've beaten Grand Theft Auto 5 like 7 times. I love the story mode. I don't really like the online play. I love the story mode and beating the game. So I'll be very curious to see how what happens with it, but I cannot wait. Like I am dying for that game because I just want to see what happens when $1 billion video game is made or a multi-billion-dollar video game is made, and it took 10 years and they cooked this thing to the maximum potential of humanity currently when it comes to video games. I cannot wait to see this. It's going to be unbelievable. Chromatic says, FYI for ranked packs, we have 200 collectibles. He also lists what comes in these packs. So for anyone that wants to know what's in ranked packs, you can just pin it. It's at 5903. So if you want to pin it. So he goes through and says what's in those packs. It's a lot of guaranteed 82s. There's no plus packs. It's pretty brutal. Hut 20 to 24 definitely had its issues, but it felt far more rewarding than NHL over the past 2 seasons. Again, revisionist history. It didn't feel rewarding at the time. It feels rewarding now, which I completely agree with. Ranked rivals and rewards are major components to making HUT engaging. So why is ranked? You get a one-time reward for 200 collectibles, and if you plateau after that, you're SOL for rewards. I agree. Outside of team building being new and the fact that we can make more MSPs like Team of the Week, this game is just far worse in terms of a reason to play HUT. I don't disagree with that take, but I think that you're underselling how much more fun the line combo system has been compared to the last 7 years of HUT. I do far more enjoy HUT from a team aspect this season, and I like X Factors. I don't like X Factor abilities, but again, I've talked to this before. If you take away X Factor abilities, every card is the exact same, and it sucks. And what should happen is every player should play like the individual player in real life, like what we're supposed to be getting with IceQ Edge 6.9 or whatever, right? Hopefully in a few years, players will play like they actually do, and we can get rid of X Factor abilities. But I think that X Factor abilities make certain cards interesting because they're impactful. There's no more like useless abilities for the most part. But I can see why a lot of people are tired of it. Heck, even the chemistry system is getting tiresome already. It is. If you are a slave is too strong of a word. If you're addicted to just chasing the line combo, then yeah, for sure it's tiresome. I've checked out on line combos. Like if it fits one, then that's the tiebreaker. But I know that in 3 weeks, cards will come out, line combos will come out that'll give us like +7 or 8, and we'll be able to build some of them, and I'll just worry about it then. Line combos don't have a big enough impact right now other than salary. I would like to use cards I like and like EA and not being at a disadvantage in champs because Gartner, Larkin, Kucherov is +2 overall, giving that line an average speed of 93. How is that any different if you're talking about online competitive play? What you're describing was not what we had in 20 to 24. You're saying that you can't use the cards that you want because you've got to use certain line combos to get an advantage. My brother, that is no different than getting McDavid and getting McKinnon and getting the same cards that are high overall, that are high speed. That's it. Only they didn't have any line combos. At least this format makes lesser used or lesser popular cards viable. You know what I mean? I think this is something that's extremely overlooked. I understand what you're saying, but I think that you're not realizing what it was like. Everyone just went after and got the fastest card possible or the best ability or whatever, and everyone's team looked exactly the same. Same as what it is now, because that's the online era in gaming. When you play a game and you get obsessed with it, the first thing you do is best line combos, right? You look up the best way to make your team better, okay? Even the XP players, I don't care for Atlantic teams. If I had to pick one from the Atlantic, it'd be the Sabres, who don't have an XP card. I don't understand that. I don't understand the XP cards. I'm with you on this. It makes... I get that they're like master set art. I would almost love it if just every season we got 32. And they're headshots. And you upgrade them the same way, but it's 32. Like that, I would love that. Because then it's like you every season, you know you're adding someone from your favorite team. I think that's it. Even people, me included, if people, me included, ever break the addiction, EA will be in for a rude awakening when they realize their game simply sucks and it's just different versus. EA has taken strides in helping break the addiction this year with making the game do chores and champs. Brother, this is no different than the champ. Like, you know what? Again, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I think you're forgetting what the game was like before. Very similar in this aspect. The core components and structure of how we got stuff was chores and champs. It looks to be getting worse based on those jersey. This I agree with. Monetization is only going to get worse, not better. We will get less rewards for more expensive packs. That is the road it's going. That is every game. Every video game is doing it. It sucks. Congrats, you won this year, but you also lost long term. Zero reason to come back next year with the state of rewards that they're in and a lack of engaging online mode. $100 for what ends up being chores and champs each week. I'm good. I'll just go look at my Steam library for something to fill the void next fall, EA or maybe GTA. This, in a few years, will impact the major change in video games. I'm trying not to be over dramatic here, but this is everything that I've described. You have a hardcore player that's addicted to the game, any game. The company needs more revenue. They've hit their peak in revenue. They lay people off, so less innovation. So we pay the same price for a game that has less innovation, and you have to pay more for the rewards that you had in years past because the company needs to make more revenue, and the only way to do so is to take the hardcore addicted players that spend endless amounts of money, make them give more. Milk every dollar you can. And eventually, the bubble will break on this. This happens in every industry, guys. Like it happens in all tech, this is the cycle. This is the cycle. And something will come out, whether it's Grand Theft Auto is just the only game that's worth it, or you end up going back to old games that you have physical copies of or digital full copies of, and you just check out. And then that forces the gaming industry and these companies to be like, we got to hunker down here and create some unbelievable games over the next couple of years. And I think that's where we're going to go. But it will be a rough couple of years. We're getting there. If you guys play Madden, guys, or 2K, this has been going on for a few years now. Madden and 2K, in terms of, you think EA's bad? You think EA NHL's bad? Good God. Go look at the store and the cost of promos for those two games. And the reason why is because their player base is 20x the NHL's player base, which means there are far more people that spend money, and they aren't going anywhere because those sports are so big that they can just keep raising the price, lowering rewards, and people will keep buying it. Eventually, it will stop, but when you have a smaller game like NHL, it's just more magnified. So I had fun today on today's episode, guys. Today we've got, it's Wednesday. We're going to get some new content. Come check out the streams, guys. If you want, twitch.tv/NoSleeves12. It's essentially coffee and Chel for a few hours in your afternoon. So if you've got a second monitor at work, or if you've got to just throw me on in your ear and you're at work and you got your phone in your pocket, twitch.tv/NoSleeves12. I hope to see you guys there. Have a good one.